So now moving into the Ohio State game, 12 minutes in here now, we're going to be talking about the Ohio State game. Thank you so much for even just sticking around for that. But here we go. So leading up into the Ohio State game, I think a lot of Notre Dame fans are thinking this camp is not going to be like 2012, right? Because this team is just different. Line of scrimmage is way different. Brian Kelly also in the rear view mirror. This Notre Dame team is they're going to have a shot against this Ohio State team. It just so happens that Ohio State is just a completely different team from when they played Michigan. It also just so happens that they have an amazing offense that is just otherworldly and only seems to get stopped by their own play calling mistakes. And they're also probably the hottest team in college football, even with Notre Dame like winning and running the table since the second game of the season against NIU. Ohio State was on a different level, just a different level going into this game. I think that that's pretty much just often recognized, especially whenever you look at the way that game turned out. But leading into the game, 8.5-point dogs, no matter what, depending on where you took it. You'd think Notre Dame's going to have to win this game. They're going to have to get the rushing game going. Riley Leonard's going to have to make some plays. And this Notre Dame defense is going to have to just be strong on strong, strength on strength in this game. They're going to have to say, we're going to end up making the necessary stops against this Ohio State offense, and we're going to give our own offense some chances in this game to make some plays and make things happen. And for the first half, that was not the case for this defense. That defense got wrecked in that first half, unfortunately. And I think that kind of really cemented what ended up happening at the very beginning of the third quarter, which was Marcus Freeman call on a fake punt at our own territory. And unfortunately, the defense just not being able to have as much confidence in that first opening drive when Ohio State had their very first big play, huge play of the game when they had that huge run all the way down the goal line. That was really unfortunate. I think that this offense didn't give them enough leeway in that first half outside of that opening drive. We knew that Riley Leonard wasn't going to be able to carry the ball 9 times every single drive for the rest of the game. And there was a certain point right when he was on pace for 36 carries in the game. That wasn't going to be the game plan, but it was surely a security blanket. Wasn't enough. When we look at that offense in the first half, I think we're thinking, wow, if we didn't have that penalty on the opening drive and then just the poor or on the second drive, I believe, if I can remember correctly, and then the second drive after the touchdown was the mishap on the snap that ended up hitting the guy in motion. And if you don't have those huge setbacks on those drives, maybe you end up having the ball for a little longer and you can give your defense some time off the field and some time to just prevent the Ohio State offense from having so much momentum. That unfortunately was not the case. And, it showed. And as you got into the second half, being down 31-7 after that fake punt call, now it's time to score on every single drive for the rest of the game. And I think that honestly brought Notre Dame into a bit more of an aggressive mode, which was perhaps needed, but we didn't really see that offense in the second half or in the first half outside of that opening drive, which I thought was a real disservice to this team and to some of the skill position players on the outside. But I can't blame anybody for it. I mean, you mess up on 2 plays, destroys those drives, and then the defense gives up the touchdowns. Ohio State was better in that first half, especially after getting punched in the mouth on that opening drive. I mean, what a response, right, from Ohio State to score on the next 4 possessions or on the next 5 possessions, 4 touchdowns, 1 field goal after giving up, a 10-minute plus drive on that opening possession. That's huge on Ohio State. That shows almost more about Ohio State than it does Notre Dame. But I digress from that. The one decision I did disagree with, as I mentioned just a second ago, was the Marcus Freeman fake punt call. It was kind of executed pretty much just as what you needed. It was just dropped towards the sideline, which is kind of unfortunate because it's one of those play calls where I think you just you hold your breath and you're getting ready to say that it's a bad play call when it doesn't work. And if it does work, you're like, all right, well, I'm not the coach. I'm just the guy sitting, watching the game. So I'll just let it happen and on to the next play of the drive because we're down 7-31 or 7-28 at this point. We just gave up. We haven't stopped them from a touchdown the entire game. So we're just going to let it happen. But it was just unfortunate that the very first stop for Notre Dame of the game was when the offense gave the defense, or excuse me, when the offense gave the other team the ball on their own 30. So they still got points out of it, which I felt was slightly demoralizing. But 7-31, as I mentioned, now you have to score for the rest of the game. And I felt like this Notre Dame team kind of just still was really, really good, still really patient. And I think, unfortunately, the Marcus Freeman call for the field goal was the right call. I do think you weren't going to. I didn't think you were going to win that game down 16 by scoring 2 touchdowns and two-point conversions. I just felt like that wasn't possible at the time of the field goal. I believe they took that field goal with like 11 minutes to go in the fourth, maybe like 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. I just figured you were going to get the ball back 3 times, and honestly, maybe this game would have looked a little different if he had hit that field goal. But fast forward now. 31-23. You just weren't able to get a stop on third down. Jeremiah Smith, too good. They kicked that field goal, and now it extends it to a 2-possession game, ball game over. But what a comeback. I'm not taking a moral victory in the national championship game, but obviously a really, really good, gritty comeback, and avoided at 7-31 those flashbacks from 2012, or at least, even if you weren't a fan who had flashbacks, because I think we just appreciate this season so much more than like back then. It was just going to prevent any sort of media scrutiny where it like just tears down everything that this season meant and what it was, right? Which was so nice, at least a relief, right? That we had a shot, one play away, one stop away, and then you think, when we get the ball back, shoot, we got the most momentum. It's all about momentum. We got more momentum than any other team in this game or in any other team in the playoffs, honestly, at this point, because, they were down and out. But that's what I was thinking. That was my perspective on the national championship game. Obviously, would have loved to win it, but this season was insane. And if you had told us after the NIU loss they were going to get to the national championship game, I probably would have told you're crazy. I mean, I saw that game with my own eyes. I'm like, this team isn't. I don't know. We might just not have it. And also, even if you win against NIU, maybe you still lose some games. But